The rumors are true. Justin Trudeau is, in fact, Canada's first ever homosexual prime minister. That's not a bad thing. That's actually quite inclusive. It's just the cat is out of the bag now, and we have substantial amount of evidence. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And once you are subscribed, I hope you turn on post notifications so you can be notified of upcoming videos. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's content, I have a beautiful discount for you guys from today's sponsor. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. We have teamed up and we are offering my audience 83% off by using code SUNSHINE, which can be linked down in the description or the pinned comment below. We're living in a world of censorship, and Justin Trudeau is at the forefront of this race. Canadians are being censored left, right, and center, which is why you have to protect yourself with a VPN, such as Private Internet Access. What a VPN does is it encrypts your information so that while you're browsing online, you're going to different websites, your information, your personal data is not shared with these massive corporations. It's almost like putting a cloak over yourself. And the best possible way that I like going about this is using the cloak such as Private Internet Access. Even when it comes to getting the news here in Canada, there's an insane level of censorship. You can't even get Canadian news on Facebook, for crying out loud. Above and beyond the news, if you want to get different content on streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, because a lot of these corporations, they geo-lock content, such as in Canada, you can only watch Canadian Netflix. But with Private Internet Access, you can bypass that and you can watch American Netflix, UK Netflix. It's really an interesting thing, and it unlocks a whole new world of content out there. The best part about it is that you're not just restricted to doing that from a computer or a tablet. You can do that from your phone, and you can have a whole lot of devices linked to your Private Internet Access account, which is incredible. Private Internet Access is not only user-friendly, it's extremely affordable, and it is the best way of saying F you to the government. You can get 83% off of Private Internet Access by using the link down in the description or the pinned comment below. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump into the video. So we're going to start off with the polls. Conservatives are still sitting at 206 projected seats, bottom line 178, top end 229. Liberals haven't budged either, still sitting at 80, and everything is looking copacetic in terms of odds of winning the most seats and odds of winning a majority government, still 99% across the board for the Conservatives. So obviously, people might be like, wait, what? We've speculated that Justin Trudeau is openly gay or closeted gay, you know, with his photos of Zelensky, Macron, how he presents himself. And look, I'm not going to get into the mannerisms. They're going to speak on behalf of me today. But before we get into the video, let's just take a quick look here at Quora. Why do people think Justin Trudeau is gay? Is Justin Trudeau gay? Being married with kids is not always a true indication of one's sexual orientation, but I think in Justin's case, we would have heard more about his attraction to men if he swung in this direction. And when you look at the related questions, it really just gives that confirmation bias. Is Trudeau and Melanie Jolie having an affair? Is Trudeau really a closeted case? Why does Justin love gays and transsexuals so much? Why do Canadians feel about, or how do Canadians feel about Justin Trudeau's relationship with his mistress, Melanie Jolie? Are Trudeau and Justin Bieber married homosexuals? What was it like to have Justin Trudeau as a high school teacher? That is not something you want answered. But then you look at photos like this, right? Justin Trudeau announces divorce from his wife of 18 years. Gee, I wonder why. And look, as a guy who's been in the military and played sports, I have that, I've experienced that brotherhood, right? Never once in my life have I ever experienced this. It speaks for itself, but you don't even have to listen to what I'm saying. Listen to Justin Trudeau saying it himself in an interview from years ago. Here we go. You're going to want to stick around for this full video, ladies and gentlemen, because you're not going to want to miss a single beat. It really explains how we got to this point and where we are headed. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, You campaigned on ending the deferral period for blood donations for men who have sex with men, with your party's platform saying the policy is discriminatory, stigmatizing, and ignores science. But this week it was announced that the deferral period will stay, but go down a year. There's no scientific evidence to say that 1 year is better than 5 years, so why keep the ban at all?
Yeah, I have to say, quite frankly, I was a little disappointed when that came out. I understand that going from 5 years to 1 year is a small step in the right direction, but it doesn't make one whit of difference in the vast majority of people who would want to donate, but who are being prohibited from it, which is why we've made sure that we're putting $3 million towards further research to make sure that we can make a real change in the coming years towards keeping the promise we made. It's frustrating to me, but sometimes the system moves slower than even a prime minister is able to make a difference.
See, that's a weird telltale, because when he says that, you can see on the side of his face, his eyes squint as he's smiling when he's literally in the middle of saying things don't move as fast as they should, and that forces a smile on his face. It's very bizarre behavior, and this is one of the contributing factors into why people just really don't like Justin Trudeau. They might have liked him at first. Obviously, he got elected somehow, right? He was this poster boy for looking good, being a younger, handsome prime minister, and that just faded really quickly when people got to know him, when he started opening his mouth a little bit more, when the charm of riding his father's fame wave, when that started to die out, and then he said things like he's about to say in this interview.
Why can't you implement that change as soon as you want?
Actually, one of the reasons is when there was the challenges around blood that led to the creation of Canadian Blood Services and Héma-Québec, there was a decision to separate the administration of those bodies from political attention or interference on any way. And one of the results of that is it would be very, very difficult for us to tell CBS to behave in a particular way or to go further without them doing the work themselves, which is why we're sending them money so that they can get cracking on the work that we know needs doing.
Next up, we're focusing on what Justin Trudeau would deem as one of Canada's top priorities. And it's not working on things here in Canada. It's actually helping other countries with problems they didn't even know they had, which is something that I covered on yesterday's live stream about how we have, actual government money that's set aside to go and help people in, Ghana that are pooping on beaches. Quite literally, Canada has spent $20 million to make signs to send to Ghana to put up that they can't poop on beaches. Canada is so progressive that we tell people they have problems with things and then we spend money fixing them, which is what you're about to hear Justin Trudeau say, but not about men pooping on beaches in Africa. No, about LGBTQ. At the time, there was no Q. So it's just LGBT rights abroad. Other countries that don't accept this, Justin Trudeau has made sure years ago in this interview, and obviously we've seen him actually spend money on trying to do this since this interview, to go and help LGBT. Sorry, Qs were excluded in this, but now they're probably included because that's how progressive Canada is, to go and give them rights in their countries, because that's just how Canada does it. We tell people they have problems. We then spend our money to solve their problems. Lovely, isn't it? We're not at all seeing the repercussions of that financially. No. It's working out perfectly for us. It's not at all like Canada has any infrastructure needs. It's not at all like we're suffering to any capacity. In fact, Canada's doing so great that we should add more taxes so that we can go and help even more countries that we haven't helped. Screw it. We should go help other planets with problems that they don't even know that they have. We should drain our lakes and bring that water with Elon Musk's spaceships to Mars and start a new lake on Mars, and we'll call it the Canadian Inclusive Lake. That's how progressive Canada is. And if you don't agree with that, there's something wrong with you. My God, it's obviously, I'm joking, right? It's just gotten to the point where it's so ridiculous. But let's listen to Justin Trudeau say that we need to go and fight for other people's rights around the world because Canada.
So I want to move on to LGBT rights abroad. As you know, over 70 countries in the world currently criminalize homosexuality, many of those countries in the Commonwealth. And the average life expectancy for trans folks in the Americas is between 30 and 35. Your government has recently rejected a proposal to create a diplomatic envoy dedicated to LGBT rights, similar to one that the U.S. State Department created last year. So I was just wondering what mechanisms you want to put in place to ensure that LGBT rights abroad remains a touchstone of your foreign policy.
Well, quite frankly, when I was at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Malta just a number of months ago, I brought up LGBT rights around the table. I am very outspoken about human rights and about respecting people's fundamental rights, including and especially LGBT rights for many of those countries where there's work to be done still. And I'm going to continue to be present, to be outspoken, and to bring it up anytime we're talking about development aid or economic growth or opportunities. The cost for countries of wanting to engage with Canada is going to receive pressure that they do have changes to make and reflections to make. And that kind of engagement that Canada has always been good at, or has traditionally been good at, of saying, yes, we have real concerns on the human rights file, but we know that engaging with you and having a dialogue around economic growth and opportunity is a way for us to get leverage on human rights, is I think, a valuable path. Now, there are other people who say, no, you should cross your arms and wait for people to change their behaviors before you have any engagement with them at all. And I understand that perspective, but I don't agree with it. I think it's much better to be a positive, continual force, creating pressure and creating opportunities to support the increasingly active civil society and individuals who are within many of those countries starting to carefully step up to demand changes from within.
This guy just screams narcissism. If other people don't agree with it, he understands that perspective. But he believes that the way to get his point across is to ram it down people's throats to the point where they can't avoid it, which is no wonder why we've dedicated an entire season or a month to Pride here in Canada instead of a day, or instead of just saying, hey, good job, let's move on with our lives. No, we set aside millions, potentially even billions of dollars in the grand scheme of things to make sure that people get to wear their sexuality on their sleeve, because Canada, that's the way we do it. And not just here in Canada, we're focusing on, or Justin Trudeau is focusing on helping other countries with these issues, which is something that people probably didn't know that they voted for when they voted for Justin Trudeau. When you vote for prime minister or the leader of a country, it's to lead the country within the borders. But Justin Trudeau hasn't done that. He's taken it to the next level, and he's broken down those borders and said, I, Justin Trudeau, am supreme leader of the world, and I will pander around the world to everybody because I think everybody likes me. Why wouldn't they? I am Justin Trudeau, and I'm going to make sure that I try and make the world a better place that I see fit. Never mind what they want. Never mind the long history that other countries have, what they're comfortable with. No, we're going to make it progressive around the world. So when that inevitably happens to Canada, I wonder what Justin Trudeau is going to do. Wait a second. It's already happening to Canada. And Justin Trudeau isn't doing anything because he's hiding under the cloak of inclusivity and progressiveness, which is why you're seeing massive changes in Canada, such as increased crime, which we've never had before, increased cost of living, which has gone to points that we've never seen before, increased immigration to the point where there's certain parts of Canada where you're walking around going, am I in Canada? And that's because Justin Trudeau is so progressive that he wants to change not just Canada, not just a town or a county. He wants to change the world to what he wants when his time is up. That's right. Justin Trudeau won't be prime minister for much longer, or even a politician for that matter. He's talked about quitting his job daily, and he's trying to give one last FU to everybody by diluting everything to what he deems fit, which is, again, not something that the people voted for. So if you voted for Justin Trudeau, or if you know somebody who voted for Justin Trudeau, the promises that he has made for Canada, it's gone above and beyond that, because he's not just focused on Canada, he's focused on fixing other countries around the world, which is not what anyone voted for. It wasn't even, if I'm not mistaken, part of his campaigns. So that's how progressiveness becomes a plague, is it doesn't have barriers. They just break through any barriers and don't even see them as barriers, and they just keep doing what they want to do. They have no respect for any authority, any law, any sort of civilization that's existed before them. That's the issue with the left. That's the issue with this woke plague, is they're special, right? The woke they're the special ones. They have to change it as they see fit, because they're alive now and they have to have the control. There's also another word for that: narcissism. So it's not just in Justin Trudeau. It's like a common reoccurring thing with the left. But hey, wow, I'm just connecting the dots here, folks.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the Pride Parade, which is coming up. You'll be marching the parade in Toronto. You've obviously marched in it a number of times, but this will be the first time as Prime Minister. What are you most looking forward to at next week's parade?
Seeing a whole bunch of old friends who whenever I went to the parade over the past years, were tremendously supportive. And I think we recognize that it's not just me going to the parade yet again. This is a position that, the community and Canadians put in place a prime minister who understood how important it is to attend Pride. And that's something to celebrate. It is a milestone. And every year when I go to Pride, you'll get a journalist saying, is it still relevant to have a Pride parade because acceptance is so good and we're such an open country. Why do we still have to make such a big deal of coming to Pride? Well, Orlando is one example. The situation around the world where people look at Toronto Pride or prides across the country and say, oh my God, wouldn't it be wonderful if our country was like that? There's still a lot of work to do, as we've seen with C-16 and the trans rights bills. I mean, we still have a long way to go. We've made amazing strides, but there is more work to do. And having the Prime Minister, the head of the government, attend a Pride celebration is an important milestone, and I feel unbelievably privileged that I get to be that Prime Minister.
So definitely, I think everyone can agree it's a step forward for the head of the Canadian government to be there. But today, Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders was a.
No one cares, though. This is the thing: is as consenting adults, people just they don't care about it. You can be gay, that's fine. Even the transsexual stuff, you can get gender affirming care as an adult. People don't care. They don't want that around kids. And although Pride is very much advertised, there's still children. There's still people that may not know it's there. Tourists that come by with their children that have no idea that it's happening. And it's just like, it's gotten to the point where there's people that are naked riding bicycles around town. You can't possibly think that that's a good idea, because children witness this, minors witness this. That's very, very wrong. But it's okay, according to Justin Trudeau and the current Canadian government, because it happens in a time frame, right? But if it happened, earlier, like 2 months ago, that's not okay. But because the government has said from this day to this day, these activities are okay for you to just be like naked in the streets and show your genitalia and expose yourself to minors, even though it's quite literally a crime called indecent exposure, it's okay because it's a celebration of wearing your sexuality on your sleeve, even though they don't even have sleeves to wear because they're not wearing clothes half the time. It's very bizarre. And again, nobody cares. No, like you're gay, you're not gay. Who cares? But pushing that agenda on people's, like on their plate in front of them, that's where there's a lot of resistance. And the fact that they don't see that, who's they? Trudeau, anyone who's a part of pride parades, perhaps. The fact that they think that that's, oh, they're homophobic because they don't want this. No, not at all. It's like if straight people celebrated their sexuality, but that's not okay, right? Yeah, see, it's a double standard, and it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre that these double standards still exist, right? I mean, with how progressive we are, don't you think that it should be a little bit more inclusive? No, it's not that inclusive. The double standards don't work, apparently.
Apologizing for his force's role in the 1981 bathhouse raids. And I want to know, how will the Canadian government make amends to the thousands of people who are expelled from the public service and from the military for their sexual orientation and for who are convicted of crimes for consensual sex all the way until 1985?
Well, EGAL, as you know, put forward a great report that we're looking at, and I think it's given us a lot of food for thought of exactly how government can move forward in that direction. I don't think it'll come as a surprise to you or to anyone that I think we absolutely do have to move forward with that. We do need to recognize the terrible mistakes made in the past, that we need to make sure we learn from, that we reflect on, and that we make amends for, and however that comes or whatever form that takes will be something that we'll have to reflect on and discuss on and exchange on. But yeah,
and he's done such a positive job, according to himself, of making up for these mistakes, right? That they've now spent, I think it's like $20 million on a monument in Ottawa. That's right. Canada has the first ever LGBTQ monument funded at our expense. There's no vote. There's absolutely nothing to discuss there. They just take our money and spend it on whatever they want, however they want, with zero repercussions. It's kind of bizarre. But now let's take a look at the footage where Justin Trudeau, it just, you know what? I'm not even going to spoil it for you. Let's just take a look at this footage together.
Looking into the future, what would you like your government's legacy on LGBT issues to be?
To get it to a point when we have an LGBT prime minister and nobody notices. I think just understanding that this is a trend line we're on, that we still have more work to do. But I think if the legacy is us anchoring Canada as a place of openness and respect and defense of everyone's rights, then that'll be a good one.
If there were to be a LGBTQ prime minister, like openly, right? Not in the closet, not anything. There's no, like, this person likes men or likes women, whatever, right? For their entire life or for the past massive amount of their life. That wouldn't just not be mentioned if they were proud of who they are. And of course, they would be, because it's Canada and we celebrate it quite literally with parades. So if there were to be a gay prime minister, like openly gay, they would be using it to their advantage. It's called politics for a reason. There would be some political advantages from doing that. At least that's how they would view it. So there would be rainbow flags permanently set up on Parliament. They would be wearing rainbow suits. It would be pride to the likes that we've never even really seen before. This is why I think that Justin Trudeau is that person, because right now people think that he's straight. Like he was married to Sophie Gregoire. He's got kids. There's no reason to believe that just on the surface level, just looking at the resume, that he's homosexual. However, we're not just looking at the surface level, are we? We're looking at the photos of how he presents himself around other male world leaders, which again, there is no brotherhood, there's no fraternity that acts in that sense. There's a group that acts in that sense, but they have their own flag. And this is why I think that Justin Trudeau is, in fact, Canada's first ever gay prime minister. And I do think that he's holding off on saying that he is part of the alphabet mafia. I don't know what it's called anymore. It always changes to SLGBTQLI+. LGBTQSLI+. I don't know. I don't want to mix it up. I don't want to, not use the right words, right? Because that's illegal in Canada, apparently. I do think that Justin Trudeau will, the closer we get to the election, will come out of the closet, because when you even look at the mannerisms in that video, I mean, he's smiling, he's squinting his eyes, he's got a telltale sign that his body mannerisms are saying, yeah, it's going to be something. It's going to be something. And there hasn't been a reason for him to use this to his advantage, because he's, again, was married to a woman, had kids, life was good, and that's not the case anymore. And he is down in the polls to which we have never, ever, ever seen before. And I'm not saying that Justin Trudeau can pull a reverse sweep like the Edmonton Oilers are doing right now, and they're going to bring the cup back home on Monday. What I am saying is that he needs to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And in this case, the rabbit is spray painted in rainbow colors, and the hat is going to be Macron's hat, Jagmeet's hat. We're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out. But hey, look, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's not me like making fun of Justin Trudeau, going, haha, you are who you are. No, it's fine, right? We all know someone who's gay. We all have a friend who's gay, and chances are, if you don't have a friend who's gay, you might be that friend. I'm kidding, of course. But in this case, Justin Trudeau, if he indeed is Canada's first gay prime minister, that would be enough of a change for him to gain a significant amount of popularity in the polls. Like, that would be something that we've never, ever seen before, which is terrifying. Very terrifying at the same time if that does happen, and especially if it's for a political advantage, and especially if it's not true and he's just playing, like role playing, LARPing. One could even argue, but we're gonna have to wait and see how that turns out, because there is nothing he can say or do to get his poll numbers back up unless he says, "My name is Justin Trudeau and I'm gay." And if that's the case, Canada might be in big, big trouble if that's the case. So that's where I'm going to end the video. I would love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you once again, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.